The champagne flutes clinked around me as Dad stood at the head of the mahogany dining table, his retirement party in full swing. 200 guests filled the estate's grand ballroom, colleagues from his 40-year banking career, country club friends, extended family who'd flown in from 3 states. Mom beamed beside him in her pearl necklace, the one she'd bought specifically for this occasion. I stood near the back with my glass of sparkling water, watching. Always watching. As I close this chapter of my professional life, Dad's voice boomed across the crowd. I want to ensure my legacy continues through the next generation. He gestured toward my brother Marcus, who straightened his tie and stepped forward with practiced confidence. Marcus has shown the dedication, the ambition, the vision that represents everything the Montgomery family stands for. Marcus grinned, his wife Jessica clutching his arm and whispering something that made them both laugh. She'd been shopping for new furniture all week apparently. Posted photos on social media with captions about, "Finally getting the home we deserve." Therefore, Dad continued, I'm announcing tonight that the Montgomery family estate, this beautiful home we're standing in, along with the lake house in Vermont and the investment properties downtown, will be transferred to Marcus effective immediately. The crowd erupted in applause. Mom dabbed at her eyes with a handkerchief. Aunt Patricia grabbed my arm, her wine breath hot against my ear. Isn't it wonderful? Your brother finally getting what he's worked so hard for. I took another sip of water and said nothing. Marcus pulled out his phone mid-celebration, already calling the moving company. Yeah, we'll need the full-service package, he said loudly enough for nearby guests to hear. 6 bedrooms, about 8,000 square feet. I want everything done by next weekend. Dad's lawyer, Richard Chin, stood by the bar with his briefcase, looking confused. He kept glancing at the documents in his hand, then at Dad, then back at the papers. I caught his eye across the room. He gave me a small nod. Emily, Mom's voice cut through my thoughts. She'd appeared beside me with that particular expression. The one that said she was about to deliver criticism disguised as concern. You could at least look happy for your brother. This is a big moment for him. I'm sure it is, I said quietly. You know, if you'd applied yourself like Marcus did, if you'd gone into a real profession instead of that tech nonsense you do from home, maybe your father would have considered. She stopped herself, shaking her head. Well, it's too late now. Marcus has proven himself. He worked at Dad's bank for 5 years before starting his consulting business. The consulting business that had exactly 3 clients, all referred by Dad. The business Marcus ran from coffee shops while posting LinkedIn content about hustle culture and disruption. But I didn't say that. Your brother's earned this, Mom continued. He understands what it means to build something meaningful. To contribute to the family name. She patted my shoulder with false sympathy. Not everyone can be successful, dear. You do your best, I know. Jessica approached with her phone out, already taking photos of the crystal chandelier. I'm thinking we'll redecorate completely, she announced to a cluster of family friends. This old Victorian style is so dated. I'm seeing modern minimalist, maybe some Scandinavian influences. Emily, you'll need to have your things out within the month, obviously. We want to start renovations right away. Obviously, I echoed. Marcus joined his wife, slipping an arm around her waist. We're planning to host proper events here, he said. Dad's retirement party is just the beginning. This house was wasted with just the parents rattling around in it. Now it'll finally live up to its potential. Cousin David laughed. What about Emily? Where's she going? Marcus shrugged. She rents that little apartment downtown, doesn't she? She'll be fine. Not like she has much. No husband, no kids, just her laptop and those weird tech conferences she goes to. I actually own a condo, I said mildly. Same difference. Marcus waved dismissively. Point is, this estate needs someone who'll actually use it properly. Someone who understands luxury, who has the social standing too. Mr. Montgomery? Richard Chen's voice interrupted, professional and firm. He'd made his way through the crowd to our circle. I need to speak with you. Immediately. Dad turned, annoyed at the interruption during his moment of glory. Richard, this can wait until Monday. I'm celebrating with my family. No, sir, it cannot wait. Richard's expression was carefully neutral, but his briefcase was open, documents visible. There's a significant legal issue with the announcement you just made. Several issues, actually. The conversations around us began to quiet. People sense drama. Legal issue? Dad frowned. I'm giving my son my property. I can do what I want with what's mine. Richard pulled out a folder, his movements deliberate. That's the problem, Mr. Montgomery. These properties aren't yours to give. The ballroom had gone completely silent now. 200 pairs of eyes focused on our group. Marcus laughed nervously. What are you talking about? Dad bought this estate 30 years ago. The lake house, the investment properties, it's all been in the family forever. The Montgomery family, yes, Richard agreed. But not your father's name. Not for the past 6 years. Mom's champagne flute paused halfway to her lips. Excuse me. Richard opened the folder, revealing property deeds with official stamps and signatures. In 2019, Mr. Montgomery faced a severe financial crisis following some unsuccessful investments. He was hours away from foreclosure on all properties, including this estate. He came to me desperate, asking for options. Dad's face had gone pale. Richard, stop. Someone purchased all the properties, Richard continued, his voice carrying across the now silent ballroom. Paid off every mortgage, every lien, every outstanding debt. The total came to approximately $4.2 million. In exchange, that person became the legal owner of all Montgomery family properties. Jessica's hand had dropped from Marcus's arm. Who? Richard turned to me. The entire room followed his gaze. Emily Montgomery, he said clearly. Your daughter. Your sister. She owns everything. The estate we're standing in. The Vermont Lake House. All 6 downtown investment properties. Everything. The silence stretched like glass about to shatter. That's impossible, Marcus said finally. Emily doesn't have that kind of money. She works from home doing, whatever. Social media stuff or something. I'm a software architect, I said quietly. I design security systems for financial institutions. I've held 7 patents. 3 were acquired by Fortune 500 companies. Richard nodded. Ms. Montgomery is quite successful in her field. When your father came to me in crisis, Emily was the only family member with the liquid assets to help. She purchased everything outright. She's been the legal owner for 6 years. Mom's champagne flute slipped from her fingers, shattering on the marble floor. No one moved to clean it up. But we live here, Mom whispered. This is our home. You live here as Ms. Montgomery's tenants, Richard corrected. She's charged you no rent for 6 years. She's covered all property taxes, maintenance, utilities, insurance. She's invested an additional $800,000 in renovations and upkeep. Dad finally found his voice, but it came out broken. Emily, you never said anything. You never asked, I replied. You assumed because I worked from home, because I didn't drive a luxury car or post about my income on LinkedIn, that I was struggling. You assumed I needed your charity. But why? Dad's expression crumbled. Why let us think the estate was still mine? Because I wanted you to enjoy your retirement without stress, I said simply. Because despite everything, you're my father. I thought letting you maintain the illusion of ownership was a kindness. Until tonight, Richard added, when that illusion was publicly transferred to someone else without the actual owner's knowledge or consent. Marcus had started shaking his head, backing away like he could reverse time through movement. No, this is some kind of mistake. Dad wouldn't have. He told me this place would be mine. He promised. Your father promised something he didn't own, Richard said. And now he's created a legal situation. Emily, as the property owner, needs to clarify arrangements going forward. Every eye in the ballroom turned to me again. I saw Dad's banker colleagues whispering, Mom's country club friends pulling out phones, extended family frozen in various states of shock. Aunt Patricia had released my arm like I'd burned her. I think, I said slowly, we should discuss this privately. Dad, Mom, Marcus, Jessica, Richard's office. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. We need to resolve this now, Marcus insisted, his voice rising. This is insane. The family estate belongs to the family, not to the person whose name is on every deed, I finished. Yes, that would be me. 9 a.m. tomorrow, Marcus. Bring Jessica. You'll both want to hear the terms. Jessica's face had gone from excited to terrified. Terms. Of your tenancy, I clarified. If you're living here, there will be terms. Richard will draft them tonight. Richard nodded, already making notes. You can't just, Marcus started. I can, I said, my voice still quiet but carrying through the silent ballroom. I've been subsidizing this family for 6 years. Paying for the lifestyle you all enjoyed while dismissing my career as tech nonsense and laptop stuff. I let you assume I was the family failure while I literally owned the ground beneath your feet. Mom had started crying, mascara running down her carefully made-up face. We didn't know. You didn't ask, I repeated. You saw what you wanted to see. I worked from home, so I must be unsuccessful. I dressed simply, so I must be poor. I didn't brag about my income, so I must not have one. Dad looked at his retirement party guests, all watching the Montgomery family drama unfold with rapt attention. This was going to be the story that circulated through the country club for years. His face reflected that knowledge. The moving company, Marcus said faintly, his phone still in his hand. I already called them. Then cancel it, I suggested. Unless you're planning to move. Which, depending on our conversation tomorrow, might be advisable. Jessica had started crying too, though hers were angry tears. You let us plan. I bought furniture. I hired a decorator. I didn't let you do anything, I corrected. I wasn't consulted. I was standing right here while you discussed renovating my house. We didn't know it was yours. Because you never bothered to find out who actually owned it. You just assumed Marcus deserved it more than I did. Richard closed his briefcase. Ms. Montgomery, I'll draft several options for tomorrow's meeting. We can discuss everything from tenant agreements to sale possibilities to sale. Mom's voice cracked. Emily, you wouldn't sell the family estate. This house has been in the Montgomery family for 6 years under my ownership, I said. Before that, it was ours from foreclosure. The Montgomery family legacy was about to be auctioned off to pay Dad's debts. The guests had started murmuring now, the news rippling through the crowd. I heard fragments. Massive debt, daughter saved everything, owns it all. Marcus's consulting business colleague, one of his 3 clients, approached carefully. Marcus, man, I had no idea your family situation was so complicated. We might need to revisit our current project timeline. I watched my brother's face as he realized the implications. His reputation, built on the foundation of being the successful Montgomery heir, was crumbling in real time. I need air, Dad said suddenly, pushing through the crowd toward the terrace doors. Mom followed, her heels clicking unevenly across the floor. Marcus and Jessica stood frozen, surrounded by guests who were now seeing them differently. Not as the deserving heirs, but as the relatives who'd been living off the family member they'd dismissed. Aunt Patricia approached me again, her expression transformed from condescending to calculating. Emily, dear, I had no idea you were doing so well. We should have lunch sometime. Talk about family, about investments, about... No thank you, I said politely. Richard touched my elbow. Let's get you out of here. We can finalize details by phone tonight. As we walked toward the exit, Cousin David called out, Emily, wait. I never thought you were unsuccessful. I always said you were smart. I didn't respond. Richard and I stepped into the cool evening air, leaving the retirement party behind. The party celebrating Dad's transition from a career built on managing money he'd nearly lost completely. That was quite the revelation, Richard said as we reached his car. How are you feeling? Tired, I admitted. I spent 6 years pretending to be less than I was so Dad could retire with dignity. Tonight he tried to give away my property without asking me. I'm done pretending. Richard nodded, opening his briefcase again. The tenant agreements I draft tonight, how strict do you want them? I thought about Marcus's moving company call, Jessica's renovation plans, Mom's assumption that I should be grateful for their dismissal of my career, Dad's proud announcement that my house now belonged to my brother. Very strict, I said. Market rate rent, first and last month due immediately, 90-day termination clause. And Richard? Add a provision that if they're late on a single payment, eviction proceedings begin immediately. Even your parents? Especially my parents. I looked back at the estate, my estate, lit up for a party celebrating the transfer of property that was never Dad's to give. They taught me that family is about respect and appreciation. They're about to learn I was paying attention. Richard smiled grimly. 9 a.m. tomorrow then. This should be interesting. One more thing, I added. The downtown investment properties, Get me valuations. I think it's time to liquidate some assets. Maybe start fresh somewhere that appreciates competence over appearances. You're considering selling everything? I thought about it. 6 years of quiet support, of being dismissed, of watching my family celebrate someone else's mediocrity while ignoring my actual success. I'm considering options, I said finally. Isn't that what successful people do? Make strategic decisions about their investments. Richard started the car. Through the estate windows I could see the party attempting to resume, but the energy had shifted. Guests clustered in groups, no doubt dissecting what they'd witnessed. Marcus stood alone near the bar, Jessica having disappeared somewhere. Mom and Dad were visible on the terrace, Dad's head in his hands. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. We need to talk before tomorrow. This is insane. You're destroying the family. I deleted it without responding. Another text, this time from Mom. Please reconsider. Your father is humiliated. His entire career network just watched this. Have some compassion. I turned off my phone. They still don't get it, I said to Richard as we pulled away from the estate. They're not sorry for how they treated me. They're just upset they got caught, upset the power dynamic shifted publicly. That's often how these situations resolve, Richard said. Not with remorse but with consequences. Tomorrow morning my family would arrive at Richard's office expecting negotiation, expecting I'd be reasonable, expecting family loyalty would override 6 years of their dismissal and tonight's attempted theft. They'd learn what I'd known for years. Ownership isn't about assumption or entitlement. It's about names on deeds, signatures on documents, legal reality over family illusion. The Montgomery family estate was mine. The lake house was mine. The investment properties were mine. And whether my family remained as paying tenants or found themselves evicted and scrambling for new housing, that was mine to decide too.